Welcome back to the channel everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about a new stock, Palantir or PLTR, and I'm also going to be giving some updates on NIO. Palantir is a US based big data analysis company founded by Peter Theil and a few others. Palantir have some very large contracts with the US government and a number of other governments, and also very large corporate companies like big banks and other multinationals such as Morgan Stanley, Airbus, Chrysler and many more. NIO on the other hand, well, we all know about NIO. They're a Chinese based EV manufacturer that currently have 3 vehicles for sale and recently announced a new vehicle, the NIO ET7, which was announced on the 9th of January and is to start production in Q1 of 2022. Let's start by talking about NIO, and I want to go over the recent price action for NIO over the last week. NIO's been rebounding nicely from lows of around $32 already back up to around $45, which is a gain of over 40% already. The NIO stock has basically been mirroring the Tesla stock over the last week or two, and I think NIO is going back to $60 and above. But some of you might say, well hang on Tom, how do you know that the current correction is over? Could it be just a fake out? Well, if we take a look at the overall market and the S&P 500, we can see that we've been consistently setting new highs all week. That Tuesday candle closed over the Monday candle. The Wednesday candle closed over the Tuesday candle. And then we had a bit of a rocket ship on the Thursday candle, and the S&P 500 set new highs nearer and nearer to that $4,000 mark, although Friday was fairly flat. Although some of you might say, no chance Tom, there's a giant crash coming, the biggest crash we've ever seen. The S&P 500 is going back down to $3,000 or maybe even $2,000. You wait Tom, you know nothing. Maybe it'll be next week or the week after, or maybe the month or 2 or 3 months after that. Sometime it will happen, trust me. Well, all I see is an S&P 500 that's about to crack $4,000, and somewhere between 37% and 50% of the $1.9 trillion US stimulus package that's about to enter the stock market. I expect a similar style rocket ship blast off that we saw between April and May-June time of last year, taking the S&P 500 to around the $4,500 mark. If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking that red button down below. Also, be sure to check out the Patreon where I discuss stocks before they start blowing up, like CCIV, BNGO, NNDM, EHang and many more. You also get access to my stock portfolio, which is updated daily, weekly live streams, one-to-one access and more. But for now, let's get back to the video. So back to NIO, and actually I'm not the only one that thinks the NIO stock is going to keep rising. The analyst from Citibank reiterated his price target of around $57, and a new analyst from Mizuho began coverage of NIO giving it a price target of $60. Now I think this is really important. Not only do we have the old targets, which are $80 from Morgan Stanley and Nomura, $70 from Bank of America and $75 from JP Morgan, which are absolutely massive by the way, but now we have updated targets post-correction from new analysts. NIO also have a very impressive mobile app, which is the highest ranking vehicle app in China. Now this, I think, is absolutely genius. With this app, you can talk to other NIO owners and NIO employees, making suggestions for vehicle updates. It's like trying to tweet at Elon Musk, apart from you don't have to fight with the other 49 million people also trying to tweet at Elon for a vehicle update. You can also use it to book a test drive, customise and even buy yourself a new NIO car. It's basically as simple as buying something small like a keyboard from Amazon. Just a few button presses or screen taps and you're there. You can also use the app to call for maintenance or to call for a mobile battery charger to give you some extra juice. Finally, NIO also use the app to sell merch. Now that's pretty cool. You can get your Nike top and your Adidas shorts, or maybe you don't really like to mix and match. But either way, you can get the NIO logo printed on them. They also do household goods and even find selected NIO wines and NIO savoury snacks. It's just that little extra bit of customer service on top that really sets them apart. In terms of my stock price prediction, I think that the NIO stock will recover very fast when this stimulus money comes in. I expect NIO to go back to around $60 in the next 2 weeks to a month. However, I do think that NIO need to announce some very good March vehicle delivery numbers. February deliveries were below January, and they really can't have March deliveries being below January and February. So providing that they can get some extra chips in and really get those cars out the door, I think the NIO stock will recover just fine. I also expect the NIO stock to start heading towards the $70 and the $80 mark over the next few months, in line with those analyst estimates, now that this current market correction is over. If you want to pick up some shares in NIO or Palantir, then be sure to sign up to free trades using my link down below in the description to get a free share worth up to £200 when you invest a minimum of £1. Yep, that's right, you only have to invest £1 and you will get a free share worth up to £200. Now let's talk a bit more about Palantir. We know they've got some very large government contracts, and we know that they're a big data analysis software company. But what do they really do? Well, with Palantir, data can be imported into the platform in basically any format. The software then transforms the data and you can analyse the data, model different future scenarios and more, all in a very simple step-by-step guide and step-by-step process, meaning that anyone can use the software, even if you don't have great technical experience. But what about Palantir's financials? Well, the Q4 earnings were recently released, with revenues topping $1 billion for the first time, with a gross profit margin of around 75%, which is absolutely massive. Although from first look, it does look like they made a pretty heavy loss of around $1.2 billion. However, we can see that the company actually paid a whopping $1.3 billion in share-based compensation. And if we look, we can see that share-based compensation is spread around direct costs, R&D, sales and marketing, and general, meaning that pretty much everyone in the entire business is getting share-based compensation. It's not just the executive team or the CEO, it's the entire business. Next year, if Palantir have a normal year and don't pay out $1 billion of stock-based compensation, the company will be profitable. Also, if we look, and if you were to remove the stock-based compensation, costs haven't really changed year on year, and yet revenue has grown by about 50%. But who else likes Palantir? Well, PLTR is quickly becoming one of Cathie Wood's and ARK Invest's favourite stocks. Cathie Wood recently said in an interview with Benzinga that in a market correction or a market downturn, Cathie Wood will be adding heavily to her highest conviction plays. And it seems like PLTR is one of those high conviction plays. ARK Invest recently held around 2.4 million shares of PLTR. However, after the recent market correction, they now own around 16 million shares. Palantir have also recently announced some large contracts with Amazon and Faurecia, which will just help further drive those revenues and those profits. I personally think that Palantir will continue growing fairly quickly. Around $600 million of their annual revenues come from government. It seems like they have most of the governments on their side, and therefore this revenue is fairly fixed and fairly guaranteed. They can now take these relationships and experiences and learnings and all the tech they've developed into the commercial market for huge companies like Airbus, BP and many more. Looking at the recent price action for Palantir, we can see that the stock hit highs of around $39, before falling during the correction to around $22. Considering this is one of Cathie Wood's highest conviction plays, I think that we can see this stock returning to its highs pretty quickly. Analysts have their targets set at $40 from Jefferies and $34 from Goldman Sachs, so it's not just ARK Invest and I that like the stock. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out some of my others. Alternatively, subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell, and that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers!